together. Starting, as we always do, with one of the questions that has come in advance from our online, internet-based audience. Then we'll open it up to any question that anyone here might have. So there's a microphone here. If you have a question, just feel free to raise your hand and come up there and ask it. But beginning with one of these in advance. How can I balance my feminine and masculine energies? So, the beautiful thing about spiritual expression and experience is it's actually the truth of who you are. It's not like attaining a skill, like being able to, do complex equations in your head without a calculator or anything like that. It's actually going back to. So balancing these energies simply means don't repress any of them. We all have different balances, different ways. It means be connected with who you are. Don't repress, don't suppress, don't allow kind of cultural norms and stuff to say to you, you should be more macho or you should be more feminine. And we've got all these cultural norms that if a guy is feminine, give him a hard time. If a woman is masculine, give her a hard time. But if you can clear those voices from your head and actually just stay in touch with the truth of who you are, Karuna, sweetie, it's okay, let it go. Karuna, let it go. It's too much happening. It's okay. Thanks. If you can just connect with the truth of who you are, not suppressing, not repressing, not denying, not letting yourself get too pushed around by what other people will think. That's the perfect balance. And don't judge yourself by other people. Some of these energies are really just that. It's the energy of the being, which is actually neither masculine nor feminine. It's just a divine energy. Some of the energies arise from things quite literally as chemistry in our bodies, chemistry in our brains, chemistry flowing through our bloodstream, and each of us with different levels of different chemistry. We're going to have different experiences of it. The best way to stay balanced is to stay true to who you are, and they'll be balanced automatically. As long as you just don't judge it according to someone else, tell yourself any story about what a real man is or what a real woman is. These are the things we have to stop. Because these are the things that make us all live in falsehood. Free of that, your energies will be balanced. Good. Other questions? Sandeepaya, Chordejega. I'm going to add just Chordejega. Abhajega, please. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Ban Chordejega. Thanks. Okay. Other questions that anyone here has? Yeah, any questions? Yes.
I always have questions.
Perfect. Beautiful. It's wonderful.
Um,
Everybody, by the way, everybody always has questions. What you always have is the eagerness and the courage to ask, which is really beautiful. Yes.
Is there a certain way or mantra or something you can do when you're triggered?
Just come a little closer to the
when
mic.
you're triggered by somebody, triggers your ego. Is there like a mantra or something you can do to, like, in that situation, not react?
Great. The no reaction mantra. We all need it. So much happens in our lives that we are reacting to all the time. The best one that I know of, well, let me backpedal for a moment. Any mantra will work. If you already have a mantra that you're working with in your japa, in your chanting, that mantra is powerful. Whatever thoughts arise in your mind, whether you've been triggered by someone, you're reacting, you're angry, you're upset, or whether it's anything. If you're working with a mantra, use that mantra. However, if you are not already working with a mantra, or you'd like an additional mantra, my favorite no reaction mantra is Neti Neti. Neti Neti. It means not this, not this. So the Neti Neti meditation, which is a beautiful meditation, is a practice literally where you sit and you say to yourself, I am not the clothes that I wear. I am not my skin beneath the clothes. I'm not the blood. I'm not the organs. I'm not the bones. You go through everything. I am not this. I am not that. And eventually you get to, I am not the chemistry in my brain, right? I mean, I am not serotonin. I am not dopamine. I am not oxytocin, right? I'm not norepinephrine. I'm not any of these. I'm not adrenaline. I'm not neurotransmitters. I'm not hormones. I'm not any of the chemistry in my brain. I'm not an electrical impulse firing down my axon, making one neuron fire into another. And it's important to realize that we're not those, because that's the stuff that thoughts are made of. Every thought, every feeling, every emotion is that chemistry, it is that electricity. So it's a very powerful meditative practice to do, but it's also my favorite throughout the day mantra. Whatever it is that arises, Neti Neti, I am not this. I am not this. Not only when other people trigger you, but when you notice anything about yourself, positive or negative. You're walking down the street, you see a mirror, you see a reflection of yourself in the mirror or in a store window, right? And the mind tends to go in one of two directions. Either something good, wow, looking really good. Boy, you're hot today. Wow, you look great. Or the mind goes negative. God, you've gotten fat, or your back is slouched, or those clothes look awful, or whatever it may be. Whichever way the mind goes. Neti Neti, I am not this, I am not that. I'm not the good-looking body, I'm not the not-so-good-looking body, I'm not the fancy clothes, I'm not the not nice clothes. I'm none of it. Neither am I the reflection, nor am I the body that is being reflected. Not this. Someone says to you, oh my God, you are the best. Neti neti. We love that stuff. That's the stuff we're like, yeah, that's me. Did you hear? I'm the best. But in order for it to work, you've got to do it all the time. So if someone says to you, oh my God, you are the best. You are so wonderful. And you realize inside you, don't say it to them. Let them, appreciating someone is beautiful. Let them appreciate you. But inside you, you know, neti neti. Not this. I am not the doer of good deeds that has made this person appreciate me. I'm not the handsome body they're appreciating. I'm not the person who has said something that makes them feel so good. I'm not that. Neti neti. When you can do that, then when they also say to you, oh my God, you are the worst. You are mean, you are obnoxious, you are this. You will also know. Neti neti. Because people are projecting. That which they are telling you is their own projection. It's their own vision. In Hindi we say, Jaise drishti vaise shrishti. As is the vision, so is the universe. So is the creation. As I see, so is the world. So when you find yourself an object of someone else's projection, good or bad, you have to realize, neti neti, I am not this. You get triggered, you get angry. Neti neti. I am not the anger. What is anger? It's a chemical reaction in my brain. It's a chemical reaction on my adrenal glands. That's all it is. It's a pattern of thought in the brain. It sends a message down to the adrenal glands. They secrete a bunch of adrenaline. Now my palms are sweating. My heart rate's going. My face is all red. It's a chemical reaction. Patterns of thought propel it. But it's not who you are. Because if who you are were the anger, then when you're no longer angry, who are you? Right? You don't disappear when you're not angry anymore. So we realize when we get triggered, neti neti, I am not this. I am not the one who is triggered. I am not the pattern of anger that's happening right now. I'm not my reaction. So for me, that is the best mantra. But along with that is the very simple English mantra, which literally is no reaction. You know, Pujya Swamiji gives this beautiful daily multivitamin, 3-part multivitamin. He says meditation, no reaction, and introspection. And that no reaction is literally a mantra in and of itself. How can you live through the world? No reaction. Things will happen. But you don't have to happen to them. People will be as people are. They are nice, they are mean, they are honest, they are dishonest. They live with integrity, they don't live with integrity. They're loving, they're not loving. It's raining, it's sunny, it's warm, it's cold. There's a fire, there's an earthquake. Things happen in the world. The world is always happening. It's spinning on its axis all the time, and we're moving around the sun. We're in a constant state of happening. But spirituality is to disconnect your happening from what's happening in the world. So people will keep doing what they do, but you keep recognizing no reaction. Neti neti, I am not this. And slowly, slowly over time, you'll stop reacting. You'll notice. It's not that you won't care. It's not that you become indifferent or apathetic or uncaring. But it just won't impact you like that. Your heart, your brain, your adrenal glands are not going to be connected anymore to the actions of someone else. Because you realize you are not that. Yeah, great question. Other questions? Yeah. And for those of you who just came in a few minutes ago in the back, it's an open question and answer, so any questions that you have, feel free to come up to the mic and ask them. Yes?
Good evening, Sadhviji. So normally I am here in Satsang virtually. So whether I'm listening to you live or if I get the recording later on. So I would love for you to speak a little bit on time and space. And if we're in the moment and witnessing satsang, no matter if it's recorded or not recorded, I feel connected. I feel that it is that now. So I just would love to hear your opinion on time and space.
Beautiful. You know, this concept of time and space is one of those places, and there's many of them, that I love, where science of today is quote-unquote discovering that which the sages and the saints and the rishis and the yogis have been telling us for thousands of years. If you look at what quantum physics, quantum mechanics, quantum science is telling us today, it overlaps so much the spiritual teaching. So for example, in Newtonian science, the pre-quantum science, things were really black and white. We had waves and particles, there was either matter or energy, there was time that was linear, there was space that quite literally just existed in space. Like, this is the distance between Delhi and Rishikesh. And unless you've got an earthquake or a moving of tectonic plates, like, this is the space. And here is the time. We have 60 seconds to a minute and 60 minutes in an hour, and this is... And the rishis and the sages and the yogis, of course, have been talking about, bilocation. Things happening at the same time for such a long time. There was a saint who used to come here, who Pujya Swamiji tells stories about, who would be sitting right in front of you, would close his eyes for a few minutes, go into a state of meditation, and people would later swear, people who were in Uttarkashi, now it's a 4 to 5 hour drive. In those days it was longer, the roads weren't so good, would swear that they saw him bathing in Ganga in Uttarkashi at that exact moment. There's so many stories like this. Can they be in two places at once? Absolutely. There's lots of evidence, spiritual evidence. Now only in the quantum aspects of science are we starting to have the possibility that, this thing, it's called space-time. It isn't actually time over here and space over here. So my perspective on it is I've seen with Pujya Swamiji, I've seen with masters, I've read in books, I've experienced on some levels in my own life this simultaneous experience and existence in more than one place, in more than one experience happening simultaneously, my definition of now has absolutely changed and expanded. I think now, for the sake of this conversation, I think now is where your awareness and attention is in this moment. So whether you are sitting here with us in Satsang in Rishikesh, whether you are watching it stream live at an early morning hour for you in America, or whether you're watching it a few hours or a few days or a few weeks or a few years later online, as long as you are here now when you are watching, then it is happening in the now for you. That's all that matters. When we read scripture, when we read inspirational teachings, whether the speaker of it is still in their bodies or has passed on away thousands of years ago, or was a being who some people even consider a mythological being, if when you read it and meditate upon it, you are here, it's now. That's all that matters. Are you here now? If so, this is all now. And if you're somewhere else, the fact that this is all happening at, 7:18 in the evening, it's not your now. If your mind is in tomorrow or yesterday, even though we can all agree that it's now, like, yeah, here we are, it's not your now, because you're not here. Your attention and presence is what determines your now. So watch it whenever you want. Yeah, beautiful. Other questions? Yes.
Pranama, I have two questions.
Sure.
First question is, I have read in Shiva Sutra that the main cause for sadness or all this is like, if we have emotional detachment or vairagya, then we will be free from all that. Now, I am a householder, I have husband, I have a family, I have a job, I have 2 daughters. So even though I have read it in the Shiva Sutra, but I'm finding it difficult to practice in practical life, because when I have daughters, there is bound to be love, there is bound to be attachment, there is bound to be moha. So kindly explain me how being a householder in a family woman.
Beautiful. Yeah, vairagya. So vairagya is detachment. And as she asks very pertinently, if you're a householder, like vairagya, great. If you're a detached sannyasi living in a cave in the mountains, but you're a householder with a husband and kids, how to have that detachment. So vairagya does not mean disconnection. Vairagya does not mean indifference. It doesn't mean that you don't care. People sometimes translate vairagya as aloofness, but it's not the right definition. Aloofness is somehow I am above this, beyond this, uncaring, disconnected. That's not what vairagya means. Vairagya is a detachment that arises not because you are pushing anything away, but because you have a attached your mind so much to the divine that the little small disturbances of the world stop disturbing you. Here's how I think about it. Imagine that you're walking down the beach, taking a nice walk on the ocean. Your hands are empty. And you look down and you see these beautiful seashells and rocks. And so it's better than empty hands, right? So you start picking up some seashells, some shiny rocks. And then you get to the end of the beach, and there's somebody with a bucket full of diamonds. And they are literally pouring from this bucket of diamonds into the hands of anybody who will go and take them. Now you've got a handful of seashells. What are you going to do?
Natural tendency will be to, the natural tendency will be to go and receive the diamonds.
Absolutely,
Yes.
right? Are you going to say, oh, so sorry, I can't take the diamonds because, see, my hands are full of seashells? Anybody going to do that? Reason we wouldn't do that process. You don't have to like pry open your hands and cry over the loss of your seashells. We're so excited to get the diamonds that we don't even remember that we used to have seashells in our hands. You're not going to go home and mourn the seashells that you left, because now you've got handfuls of diamonds. This is vairagya. This is vairagya. It's not empty hands. It's not take your seashells and throw them down and now you have nothing and you are disconnected and separate. You don't care. I'm not interested in a shiny seashell. It's not that. Vairagya is, I have attached myself, connected myself to something that is so much more powerful. Something that is so much deeper, richer, more meaningful than the nonsense that I used to be attached to. That I don't even think about it. I used to be very concerned about, the types of clothes I wore or the jewelry I had or, whether other people looked nicer than I did. It's because you're empty. What do you have? Well, maybe you have a few nice saris, cello, that's what you're attached to. Maybe what you have is your jet, your reputation, so that's what you're attached to. Maybe you have your money, so you're attached to that. But then, when you reattach yourself in spiritual practice to the divine, these things they are nothing. You don't even notice that someone's got a nicer sari on than you do. You don't even notice that someone's got more money than you do. You don't even notice how much you have. Because you don't need that anymore to fill up your empty hands. You're full. So the attachment to things like who's saying what, who has what, this diamond, this clothes, it disappears. It doesn't mean that you stop loving your family. It doesn't mean that you stop caring about what happens to them. But it means that you might not necessarily notice that your daughter's going out in ripped jeans. And if you do notice that you're not necessarily going to care so much. Hare cello, Johnny, though, it's the trend. Okay. But if you didn't have that connection, then it's, oh my God, log kya sochenge? You see? You see where you're so attached. to what other people are doing, how they're living. Somebody comes over to the house. They're not as nice to you as you'd like them to be. Maybe they're even rude to you. You used to get all worked up about it. You had a story. It was your story for a week. Your husband would come home, you'd tell him. You'd tell the in-laws, my God, this person came over, ye bola, ye kia, ye wo. It was what filled up your empty hands. Or the other side, somebody came over, some very, important person came over, sat and had a cup of tea with you, complimented your tea. That's your story of the week. Because you're empty. Kuch hai nahi aapke paas. So you become attached to these things. Vairagya is when you are so full of that divine connection that kaun aaye, kaun gaye, kisne kya bola, you don't even notice anymore. It's not that you stop loving. You love more deeply because you are less attached to what they're wearing, where they're going, what their table manners look like, what music they're listening to, who they're talking to on the phone, how long they've been on the phone. The things that used to fill up your mind all the time. People send you WhatsApps, you don't even open them. Whereas before, like the whole day goes and, oh my God, can you believe it? That's Vairagya. And householders need it just as much as monks in caves. Good.
Thank you, Ma.
Yeah. Your daughters will thank you.
Thank you. And I also have a second question. While trying to meditate, I'm not being able to meditate for long. There's so much of chaos going on in my head. It's difficult.
Yeah. All right, so raise your hand here if when you meditate, thoughts don't come. Raise your hand if thoughts don't come when you meditate. Okay, raise your hand if thoughts do come when you meditate. Look around. Keep your hand up. Look around. Look around. Look the other way. Look the other way. You see? And if we had 10,000 people in here, you'd get the same unanimous response. The only hands that wouldn't go up were people who have never meditated, so they don't know. It's the nature of the human mind. It is why we call it the monkey mind. Thoughts come. It's what the mind does. It thinks. Meditation is that which trains the mind. It's amazing to me because we understand that everything else in life that we want, we have to practice, we have to work. Nobody would expect that you could do anything well without practicing. Whether it's a musical instrument, whether it's art, whether it's cooking, whether it's science, whether it's math, whatever you're looking to do. Anything you want to do, you have to practice. The only things that come very naturally to us are the things that have evolved over billions of years from our animal ancestors, right? I mean, we can sleep, we can eat, we can procreate, we can go to the bathroom. Like that's the stuff we can do easily. Nobody has to teach you how to do it. You don't have to practice it. Beyond that, everything. Addition, multiplication, math, a foreign language, your native language. Dancing. All of it you have to practice. Look at a little toddler practicing walking. Walks 5 steps, falls. Walks 5 steps, falls. walks 5 steps, falls. Can you imagine if the toddler said, forget it? Charter school, it's not for me. Why do they keep going? Because all of the adults around them keep encouraging them. Stand up, try again, stand up, try again, stand up, try again. If the adults around them said, you stupid, clumsy idiot, you'll never walk, kid might never walk. But they're surrounded by people saying, it's okay, yeah, you can do it, come on, another step. You need that inner cheerleader. Most of us have the inner voice that literally says, you clumsy, stupid idiot, you'll never walk. We start to meditate, thoughts come, and that voice says, you're not spiritual. You'll never do it. But that voice is just as wrong and just as harmful as if the adults told the child, the kid at 3 years old, that they'd never walk because they're falling. You need that encouragement. You can do it. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years of meditative practice has shown us. You practice it, you get better at it. Like anything in the world. If that toddler never tried walking again, they'd never walk. But through practicing, give it a couple years and the kid's playing soccer. You'd never even realize this was the same one who was fallen all over. Give it some time. As you meditate, what you'll discover is, the time in between the thoughts gets longer and longer. The spaciousness gets more, the stillness gets deeper. But you got to practice. Okay? Just activate the inner cheerleader. You need to be that adult to yourself that says, come on, stand up, keep going. A thought comes, that's okay. Just think of it like the kid falling down. Stand back up. It's okay. Nobody's going to have the kid start psychotherapy and talk about what it felt like to fall down. Did my right leg fall first or my left leg fall first? Did my knee touch the ground first or my ankle touch the ground first? It doesn't matter. What matters is stand up. But we're the opposite. The thought comes and we immediately start analyzing it. Oh, now I'm thinking about this. What does that mean? Forget it. Let it go. Go back to the meditation. If you want to analyze later, no problem. But now, let it go. Just go back to the meditation. You can do it.
Thank you, Ma.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Yeah.
माता जी के चरणों में शत प्रणाम। मेरे मन की एक व्यथा है जो मैं बहुत ऑनेस्टली यहाँ आपके सामने उसका सॉल्यूशन के लिए बात कर दूँगा। ये जब हम सत्संग करते हैं, जब भी सुनते हैं, बहुत अच्छा लगता है। उस समय उस मोमेंट में लगता है कि ये बहुत अच्छी बात है, जितनी भी बातें हैं हम भी उतारेंगे जीवन में, बहुत अच्छा रहेगा जीवन। सब कुछ उस मोमेंट में एकदम परफेक्टली समझ में आता है। अब यहाँ ऋषिकेश आए, बहुत शांति से वापस जैसे ही यहाँ से गए, घर में गए, जैसे बिजनेस में, घर में सब जाते हैं, ये आज पहली बार नहीं होगा, ये होगा मेरे साथ, हमको पता है, ये पहली बार नहीं होगा, पहले भी ऐसा हुआ है। जाते हम सब कुछ पता नहीं भूल से जाते हैं, ऐसा कुछ याद ही नहीं रहती उस समय कि इतनी अच्छी बातें हम समझी हुई अचानक ऐसे कैसे भूल जाते हैं। जैसे ही वो मोमेंट आता है एकदम ब्लैंक हो जाते हैं और फिर वही करते हैं जो शायद बोला गया नहीं करने के लिए. ये मेरा ऑनेस्ट कन्फेशन है, मेरे
it's
साथ ऐसे
beautiful.
होता
So
है.
thank you for being so
तो
honest.
मैं आपसे प्रणाम करता हूँ, आप इसका प्लीज
So
सॉल्यूशन बताएं.
he said, you know, when we're here, sitting in satsang, listening to satsang, it's all perfect. It makes perfect sense. What you're saying, I feel it, I understand it, I know it. It's absolutely perfect and right. I remember it, I understand it. He said, and then I go back into my business, and I forget everything. Mind has been wiped clean.
Absolutely.
इसका मतलब है कि जब आप यहाँ पे हैं और जब आप सुन रहे हैं तो ज़्यादा deep नहीं जा रहे हैं यहाँ. If what you hear goes deep, it will stay with you. But sadly, a lot of us take spiritual programs as just kind of another thing to do. We go to Aarti, maza aa gaya, come to satsang, maza aa gaya, katha suna, maza aa gaya. But it's just like another layer of things I do. I watch TV, I listen to music, I see something on social media, then I go to satsang, I see a katha, I listen. And it's all just in this superficial level. It's essentially the in one ear, out the other ear situation. And nothing can actually deeply impact us when we're like that. And that's why you have to be present, and it has to be emotionally meaningful for you. Neurologically, what we know in the study of brains and memory is that that which has emotional, deep emotional meaning, we remember. For example, is there anyone here, not counting those who are too young to remember, but is there anyone here who does not remember exactly where they were when 9/11 happened? If I picked on any of you here, could every single person here tell me exactly where you were when 9/11 happened? Now that was a long time ago. Most of us were doing really mundane things. I remember exactly where I was. I was at a hotel in Germany. We were doing a function. I had gone downstairs to buy a bottle of water. But vividly I can picture it. Everybody can. In America, people of my parents' generation, everyone can tell you exactly where they were when John F. Kennedy was shot. Every one of them. These are moments in history that were very emotionally powerful. And so even if what you were doing was not memorable at all, you will remember it because it is attached to the emotion of, oh my God. And we all have that in our own lives as well. I've just given some that are kind of collective. But if you've had tragedy in your life or trauma in your life, if you've lost a loved one, for example, you will remember exactly where you were when you got the phone call that said, this happened. And again, even if all you were doing was pumping gas at a gas station, you will remember the corner that the gas station was on. You'll be able to picture the scene. That moment will be seared into your memory forever because it has the emotional component. And the science of memory teaches us that actually if you want to remember something, you have to connect with it on an emotional level. the more emotionally, deeply you can connect, the more you'll